what happens in your business that is affecting you is very important that you bring that up when you're a member of a committee. You're representing a subsection of the 220,000 members. Some of the problems that you're facing, they're facing as well. If you're quiet during the committee meetings, you have silenced that group. When you speak up, you are giving them voice. The value that you provide as a member of a committee is incredibly important.
Remember, whatever happens, what can you learn from it and grow? Because even if it's not going in the direction you want per se here, you run a business, and I bet you anything that whatever that is, there's some feedback that customers have either told you or you know that you've lost a deal or lost an opportunity. And so really it's about us on our journey, hopefully growing to get better.
We hear about disruptors all the time. Well, it's time for us to be the disruptors. Let's not just say this is the way things have always been done. Let's find the correct way for the future.
Welcome to RWorldTalk. I am your host, David Serle. Yes, it's not Chris Kresman today, it is David Serle. And I get to talk to our amazing candidates for Florida Realtors. First, I want a little bit of an intro, just a short little summary as to who you are, because most of us in the audience know who you are, but not all our listeners do. So we will start with Fernando.
Sure. Thank you guys, by the way, for the opportunity to be here with you today. Always great to make it all the way here to Boca. My name is Fernando Arencibia Jr. I've been in the industry for over 22 years. As David mentioned, I am a reformed teacher of 10 years. And as many of you, I came to this industry from another profession. I am the broker owner of Avanti Commercial. And I also own which only focuses on commercial real estate. And I also own a franchise within Avanti Realty called Avanti Edge for residential agents. I do this with my partner, Jennifer Wallman, Enrique Teran, and Andres Corda with Avanti as well. I've been very blessed to have the opportunity to...
You said short.
Oh, that's it.
Thank you, Fernando.
Get to the questions. That was short for Fernando.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Fernando.
You got it.
Cyndee, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I've been in real estate for 20 years, and I'm a broker associate for Future Home Realty. What you may or may not know is I started my career in technology. I have a computer science business degree. I spent my first part of the career with IBM, and Chuck's teaching me AI. So anyway, I'm married for 39 years on Friday.
Oh.
I know, it says a lot about him. And I have 2 boys, and again, I love this career that's given me so many opportunities to do something I love with all of you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Cyndee. Jeff?
Yes.
Tell us about yourself that we don't know. Tell us one thing that you may not have said
Well,
to the rest of us.
I just want to put this out.
Yes.
I'm the real Chuck Bonfiglio Jr. I'm Jeff Levine. I'm a broker associate with Keller Williams Realty Services here in Boca Raton. I'm a team leader of the Lux Places and Spaces group, and I also have a coaching company called Levine Coaching Company. And, every time I come to this room, honestly, I'm choked up, and I have tears in my eyes because we spent a lot of time bringing this room together. We have a lot of legacy associations that came together to form District 11. And I am so proud of where this district is now and where it continues to grow. And we're leaders. We're leaders in this industry. So thank you all for being part of us.
What's your vision for Florida Realtors, Jeff?
I think you heard it from Chuck before, and I know through 2028 you will hear this, but there's 2 words that I want you to all remember: productivity and profitability. Productivity and profitability. Whether it's the local level, whether it's the state levels, whether it's the National Association of Realtors, we're a very social group. We love our conventions. We just love these meetings. We love our bartending events, our RPAC fundraising events. But at the end of the day, this is a profession association. This is a big business association. I clearly know, because I am doing the same thing that you guys do, that we wake up every single morning unemployed, looking for our next paycheck. So my focus and vision for Florida Realtors is to continue to provide you the best tools and services. Just real quick there, David, Chuck talked about the innovation front. There was a question, and we hear about disruptors all the time. Well, it's time for us to be the disruptors. Let's change the way things were happening. Let's not just say this is the way things have always been done. Let's find the correct way for the future.
Thank you, Jeff. Cyndee, what's your vision?
Ditto. I will tell you that this team is very focused, and we have conversations about everything about productivity and profit. I think wrapped in that as well is we have set out with a vision to reclaim or let the rest of the world know that we are the voice of real estate in Florida. And so communicating in a way that leads that gets that respect, and that also we live out our strategic plan that many of you had a hand in, that says, how do we continue to be the association that we've been for 100 years, for 100 years more, and with our realtors at the center of it. I think having that voice, so one piece is focused on your business being healthy and being able to be there, and the other piece is maintaining the respect in the community and with other people of the value we bring and why it's important to have realtors in the transaction. And so I think that's another piece through our communication. You'll see us, we've hired new people, we're upping our game, and we're hoping that you will help us share that you too, our goal is to promote you as that voice of real estate, and we all play that role to make sure that people still value realtors and that goes on for 100 more years.
Absolutely love it. Fernando, are you the disruptor? Because you're coming into this team, they're all have this vision. Do you have the same vision?
I envision that I could be the disruptor, but I will tell you that, look, an organization that continues to be resilient in the face of challenges, that sees challenges as opportunities, that is data-driven in all of its decision-making, that keeps the member at the center of why they're making all of those decisions, that looks 5, 10, 20 years ahead when they're making decisions, that is more proactive than reactive, and that is purposeful and efficient in the way that it carries out its mission. And I think we do have the leadership, especially in this room, to do that and to make it happen.
Awesome. So David, he is a disruptor. Enough for what he just said. He is a disruptor. The word disruption is not bad. It's innovative.
Agreed.
And I just want us to all start thinking, how do we turn this thing upside down and move forward based upon the foundation that we have already built to the next generation of what this industry is going to be?
It starts really in the boardroom, doesn't it? I mean, it starts in the boardroom, being able to voice your opinions.
I would say it starts at the committee level.
Yeah.
Because the committees are where everything starts getting talked about. This is where the ideas come from, and it works its way through the channels. But I really think it starts at the committee level. Everybody wants to be a president of an association. Everybody wants to be an executive officer of an association. The most important members in any association is the committee members.
100%. Absolutely. Fernando.
Yeah.
Give us one piece of value of Florida Realtors that you believe, as you went through all these broker roundtables, you're going through the entire state, and you're hearing from the members, from the brokers, and what's the value to Florida Realtors, to our members?
I think the biggest value we provide is a strong voice on behalf of you and on behalf of the consumers that we serve. I've had a lot of conversations where people always put advocacy as one of the top values that we provide as an association. I think what gets lost behind is that in order to be a good advocate, it's not only about what you do legislatively, but it's about the know-how that you have about the marketplace. It's about the research and the comprehensiveness of that research. It's understanding how we fit within the ecosystem of all of the private and public institutions within the state of Florida and the role that we play in them. Because our advocacy is the envy of every other industry. We do more to positively impact the lives of the people that we serve, our communities, our city, our state, our nation, than perhaps any other profession, right? And our biggest value is in making sure that when we come across an issue that needs addressing and that has either a legislative solution, an economic solution, a socioeconomic solution, that when we are speaking about it, we're not speaking as the individual, but we're speaking on behalf of over 220,000 members and the largest trade association in the state. And that is a power. I want to just add one more thing. That doesn't happen because there's all of a sudden 220,000 members. It's because for years, there are volunteer leaders like yourselves who are not in the room today, who built an infrastructure that allowed us to increase and strengthen that voice. And now it is up to us to continue to carry that baton.
100%.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Cyndee,
Yes.
value.
Well, obviously, Fernando touched on the big picture and what needs to happen. I think that was interesting for me over the last year, and I would have to add into that, is our role in minimizing risk for the broker, risk for the association, and risk for the member. Because we know that any one of those things targeted at any of us can basically bring the house down. And so one of the things I didn't really realize till I listened to brokers was how much when people talk about, do we stay apart? Do we do other things? All those kind of questions is our forms, and we're unique in that as state of Florida, our forms are vetted, and when you not only does it make working with each other and put us at the center versus having lawyers doing stuff, but it also insulates and makes the association more valuable to realtors or non-realtors, right? Like we did 64 forms last year, right? So what did that cost non-realtors to protect themselves and whoever's working for them? So I do think that aspect, I don't think legal challenges are going away. And I think that having that strong legal presence to not only prepare things that put you in good stead, but also to be proactive. I know Joanna and her team and Margie are constantly saying, we're not doing this to put ourselves, so we've got questions about compliance, and we're doing it in a way that says, like, again, we're not an easy target, which is important when we have the size of an organization and people look at where do we make money on lawsuits. We could easily be a target, but people are very strategic in thinking about how do we position ourselves and make sure we're not. So again, while there's many things, I would just add that to, again, what Fernando said.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned forms, right? Because
It's not sexy, but it's important.
No, because our in-house general counsel loves their forms. But what I will say is this: when I heard Joanna speak yesterday, and she said something that was very interesting. She said, we put out these forms and we vet them, we go through all these processes, right? But we're still only going to be 50% satisfaction rate. Like literally, that's all we're gonna get. So we have to understand that Florida Realtors does these forms, to protect the associations, which is great, and the members. Jeff, add any value to our Florida Realtors to a member?
To the members?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and Margie, when I first came onto the leadership team, Margie and I were having a conversation about something, and she says, no, I don't think of it this way. I think of it as partners. And I think every aspect of our relationship between the members, the local level, the state level, and the national level, it's a partnership, okay? There's lots of talks about the value of the three-way agreement today. And for those of you who may not know that in the room, we're talking about the local, state, and national levels handshake agreement. But quite frankly, it's a partnership. It's not an agreement. It's a partnership between all parties. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to make sure that you are profitable and productive in your business.
Absolutely.
From every level. It doesn't matter, right? If the local needs some help on local advocacy level, they have the state that could come in and help them with that if they need to. If there's an issue that maybe the National Association of Realtors jumps in. So I think the biggest value for us as members, whether it be education, advocacy, all of these things, is the fact that we have not just 40,000 partners here, 230,000 partners here, 1.5 million partners there. I mean, the strength is in the numbers.
Can I just add one thing?
Absolutely.
I think the other thing that the team has shown me this year, which I love, which is why I'm there, is, you know, it was important to go out and hear from the brokers and not assume that we know what's valued or what's needed. And I think that the big part that you guys should feel good about, hopefully, is that Florida Realtors leadership team and staff are listening and are looking and getting ideas from what people share. We're not just, when you say the committee, it's all those things matter. And so I think there are things that we know when we do our analysis bring value, but at the end of the day, value is received, is when someone else says it's valuable, right? And so that conversation is ongoing as to not only how we bring value, but how do we continue to pivot and bring whatever value is needed.
Yeah, Jeff and I were talking about assumptions.
Yeah.
A lot of times we assume that our volunteer leaders have, this information or education about certain events or certain different things that are involved in the association, and a lot of them don't.
Right.
And I think it's our obligation to make sure that we don't assume that they know, and actually educate and make people more aware.
Absolutely.
You touched on it a little bit, and just a real brief thing. I know we're winding down. How does Florida Realtors really best support our local Realtors Association?
Well, on the local level, I mean, as far as
Actually, I don't care about the Realtors Association. I just care about us.
No,
Just kidding.
But actually, the local associations, there's lots of ways that Florida Realtors, again, in the partnership way, right? So, for instance, if an association has some troubles meeting their core standards, they might reach out to Florida Realtors, and we might assist in getting them to those levels that they need. Not every association is the size of the Broward Palm Beaches and St. Lucie Realtors in the state. We have many small associations. We have associations with less than 500 people, members in the associations. So there's usually a lot of recycling of the leadership. There's just not a lot of that leadership development. So there's different levels in where Florida Realtors does go ahead and provide services to the local associations. I will say the advocacy piece, I mean, let's be honest, okay? The advocacy piece, our voice on the state level, it's for everybody in the state of Florida. And if you haven't driven this state or taken a plane or trained, run for a Florida Realtors office and realize how big this state is. It is a very, very, very big state. So I think that's, how we serve.
Cyndee, how does Florida Realtors support local real estate associations?
So I think it is in all these things we talked about, but I also think that there's things, that we're providing value, and one that I hope is actually an opportunity for brokers and associations is, even though it didn't come through the innovation fund, it's an innovation, is our healthcare portal, where people can come through as a Florida Realtor member and get access to all kinds of health insurance. But what I imagine is when I worked for IBM a bunch of years back and they would loan us to the chamber, people would join the chamber for $400 because they would get access to health care for their family that saved so much money. And predictions, Tim's been involved before, and they said, some people saw as much as 20% savings. So you imagine all the twice as many number that are non-realtor members out there, or commercial brokers, when they say, what do you offer? Chuck likes to say, what is your wealth without health? And so having the ability to deliver that is, I think, something that can, again, keep people tied to the association in a positive way, on top of forewarn, on top of education, on top of communication. But with advocacy, we've all seen that bad policy in one jurisdiction travels, so rent control, Airbnb, short-term rental. So all those things are all pieces of it. But we're constantly thinking about those things of how do we bring more value. And at the end of the day, the mindset, and we have the AE symposiums also to hear from your leadership what you need. That at the end of the day, it's really about, how do we keep you guys strong? Because I look at that three-way agreement, and again, especially between us and the state, it is like it's a partnership marriage. It's like, if you're not good, it's like your kids. Like, if they're not doing well, we're not going to do well. We're smart enough to know that's the case, and we have to invest in that. And so we continue to do that. But again, I think the healthcare portal is a perfect idea of saying, someone might have thought, well, that's not really your lane. But what it can do from a non-dues revenue potentially for us, as well as helping people be healthy and be able to work and be able to do that livelihood, is I think people will look back and say that was good work, think outside the box, but bring value in a different way. And the thing is, locals are going to be the voice to the people. You're going to be able to say to your local brokers, do you realize we've brought this to you? And people that might be thinking, do I get value or not? Again, it's another way they could tap in and probably far exceed what they're paying the state for what it is. So not everybody's going to use everything. They're going to pick and choose what part's valuable to them. Some people forewarn is priceless, right? Some people it's going to be healthcare. But again, we keep thinking and we keep looking for ideas, like Jeff said, like bring it to us. We're open.
Love it. Fernando, what's the value?
I mean, what else can I add that hasn't already been said? But I will say this. I see a lot of volunteer leaders here who have been around for a long time, and I appreciate everything that you do for realtors throughout the state of Florida. Sometimes the problem is when we talk a lot of inside baseball stuff because we're so engaged that we kind of forget that the reality is that the majority of our members don't interact in the same way as we do. And the way that they connect to Florida Realtors and the National Association of Realtors is only through the local board. So having that acknowledgement and understanding that really the place in which most of our members are going to meet us at a state level or at a national level is at the local association. And providing support for that is incredibly important. It also means that when you're making decisions at a state level or a national level, you have to understand that it is the local associations that are going to have to handle how those decisions are meted out and what reaction is received as a result of that. So you have to be very conscientious to provide support, but also be very conscientious that the decisions that you're making are decisions that you can soundly back and to understand the value that they provide. I would also say something that you mentioned, Cyndee, which I think is one of the most important parts, is that every market is different. Every market is unique. And as Jeff said, for the last 6 weeks, this team has traveled throughout the state of Florida. And yes, there are very unique factors throughout the state of Florida. It's a very large state. But if you think about it, it's almost like we're tributaries in a river system, right? What happens in one place affects the other. And so having that sort of a 10,000-foot view that Florida provides to be able to say, look at what's happening in one part of the state. We need to nip it in the bud right here before it spreads and it becomes a problem elsewhere. That is an incredible value that a state association such as Florida Realtors definitely provides to our local associations.
Absolutely. All right, last couple questions. What advice would you give to those that are thinking either to be on a Florida Realtors committee? Maybe they haven't. Maybe they haven't realized that they want to get into the Florida Realtors committee leadership. Or those that have been committee members for a couple years and want to be chair or vice chair. What should they be doing? Fernando?
So look, focus on the job that you have at hand. I would say first and foremost, and I've seen it personally, there's a lot of value that you could add by being a member of a committee and the work that you do in that committee. And believe me, people pay attention. Now, I want to just say how important your job is as a member of that committee, right? I was kind of running these numbers. There's 220,000 members at the association. We have roughly less than 1,000 board of directors, right? Let's say that there's 1,000 board of directors, 220,000 members. That means 0.0045% are representing the whole, right? Now, all of us came into this industry in unique ways. Some people are second generation, third generation realtors. Some come from a second industry, or maybe this is their third profession. But then when they come into the industry, they work in very different brokerages. Some are in a boutique brokerage, some in a national firm, and then you move around. What happens in your business that is affecting you, which really is affecting your consumer, which then affects you, right, is very important that you bring that up when you're a member of a committee. And the reason for that is because the voice that you provide at that moment, you're representing a subsection of the 220,000 members, because some of the problems that you're facing, they're facing as well. If you're quiet during the committee meetings, if you don't bring that up, you have silenced that group. When you speak up, you are giving them voice, right? And so the value that you provide as a member of a committee is incredibly important. focusing on that is gonna give you opportunities to then see the leadership that you're seeking, which is either vice chair or chair. And I would say that, look, everybody's path is different, but I want you to know there's incredible value in the work that we do. This is impactful. This is necessary. It is important, right? And the only reason why we have an organization that is on the other side of a century old is because there were other people that were sitting in rooms like this who took the time to make that happen. So I would say just focus on providing value today. People pay attention and opportunities will open up for you.
Absolutely. Cyndee?
So when I started, I remember asking people just out of curiosity, like, what are the right committees to get on? Like, what are the things, you know, because you have this like wiring to say. And I remember that Nancy Riley, who was a past president of my association, and other people, I mean, it was almost like they had a cue card somewhere, but everybody would say, follow your passion. And what I'm seeing on this side, and is sometimes from your seat, you might wonder like, why? But the committee structures, we've been trying to modify them to make them more effective. So like emerging technology, at one time it was more like a forum. You put everybody in a room, you might give an update on technology. Now, you know, Jonathan and his team have people working on, let's vet some stuff, let's really, you know, get some work done, right? And so I would say you want to be in a place that you want to show up and do the work. And if I could share two things, because, you know, we're at that time of year where people are applying at Women's Council, at associations, at Florida Realtors for committees and opportunities. And there's inevitably not enough positions for everybody. Like you said, everybody has a contribution, but again, not everybody can be the chair, not everybody can be the vice chair. And so what I want to share is, if it's helpful, you know, early on I was on executive in my board, and I ended up getting removed for a year. And again, I could go into a story, but the bottom line is I stepped back and I said, what part of leadership do I need to learn? Because I play some piece of that. And I think sometimes when we're on that journey, we get so excited, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? We have a timetable in our mind that thinks if I'm good, I get this next step. And I will tell you that the best thing that ever happened to me was the opportunity to step back. I took some leadership. I ended up, you know, doing a bunch of things. And I really said, and it reminded me in iBusiness, that we usually don't fail because of our strengths. We fail because of our weaknesses and the opportunity of areas where we need to grow. And so I looked at the person that took my spot, and he was a one and done. Never went anywhere else. It's taken him 20 years to get back in the stream because, again, and I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that, you know, I look at this as my place to learn and grow, but not everything in my business, right? Like, we're here learning how to work better with people, how to manage, how to get along, collaborate. And so take it as a gift and realize that really when Chuck says, and I've said to people all the time, a no, it doesn't mean no. It might mean not yet, and it might be being on something else. And that, you know, don't let the disappointment, you know, get you. And finally, if someone does give you a position, whatever it is, show up and be present, right? When I was in AR chair, there were people I gave opportunities to, and we'd have work group meetings, and they didn't show up. They'd be on their phone. They'd be in the car. And like, when the president of NAR came and said, who do you think? I'm like, nobody, it's an important work. Like, and so don't be that. Like, there are so many opportunities, and people are watching, and we do need people that will do the work. So I would just encourage you and say, like, remember, whatever happens, what can you learn from it and grow? Because even if it's not going in the direction you want per se here, you run a business, and I bet you anything that whatever that is, there's some feedback that customers have either told you, or you know that you've lost a deal or lost an opportunity. And so really it's about us on our journey, hopefully growing to get better.
Willing to grow, right?
100%.
A lot of times we have to be self-aware and be, open to receiving feedback, even if it's harsh.
Absolutely.
Jeff?
So a few months ago, I put out a post, and I coined the phrase called WWCD, and that is, what would Chuck do? Okay? And no, this is a WWCD moment, because Chuck Bonfiglio always said, all he wants to ever do is just put his head down and do the work. Put his head down and do the work. And I think a lot of times people position themselves or do things they think that they need to do in order to get to that place that they want to be. There's nothing wrong with ambition. There is absolutely nothing wrong with ambition. But I would tell you, I've been a chair of 3 NAR committees, and I have never, ever, ever asked for any one of those at any time. I did not lobby for it. I did not speak to other people about it. I believe it was because of the work that I did on those committee levels at the time. And I think that we just all have to understand, if you do the work, you will be noticed. You absolutely will be noticed. And by the way, if you're just going to speak in a room just to speak, you're going to be noticed. I'm telling you right now.
You may even be talked about.
You notice. So do the work. And if you do want to speak to one of the leaders about potential future, don't say, I want to be vice chair. Say, I would really be interested someday serving. What can I do to get to that level? That's the way you ask. So that's the best thing I could say.
So my favorite question is always the last question, because the hidden gem, we all live in different parts of Florida. And what's your hidden gem? A diner, a dive bar, a restaurant?
This is easy.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a cigar bar called Stripe. I have cigars with David every week. So right here in Boca Raton. Hey, Jonathan, I still have a cigar. He's here at the Dolphin somewhere. You
love it, love it, love it. Cyndee?
So we have a place in Madeira Beach at John's Pass. It's called Walt's Fish Shack. And Walt fishes every day. And if he catches stuff and it's fresh, it's on a chalkboard, and you don't go late because it's like sold out. And when it's sold out, he closes the door. He doesn't care. So it's great food. It's like a little shack, and it's charming. And he's, in the restaurant business, to do it your way, that's really saying something, right? Because, yeah.
Fernando?
So, all right, look, I'm going to give you a little gem.
There's nothing, sir.
When you guys come to Miami, and when people come to Miami, they always ask me, what's the Cuban restaurant to go to, right? And the most famous Cuban restaurant in the world is Versailles in Miami, all right? But next time you come to Miami, skip Versailles. A couple blocks down, there's a Cuban restaurant called La Casita, all right? La Casita is the most delicious, most amazing, most authentic Cuban food that you will ever have in your life, right? And it is a not so hidden gem for the locals, but it is a hidden gem for. So by the way, I'm losing out on a Miami card by giving it away, but I'll give it away to you guys. So
thank you. Well, mine is ice cream. I always love ice cream, right? Jackson's ice cream.
Oh wow.
I mean, I've been going there as a kid.
You eat the kitchen sink?
Oh, no, not in one sitting. Yeah, they have a kitchen sink that actually is served in a sink. But it's just amazing. They do a great job. They've been there since, I think, the 50s or 40s. Wow. And, they have a little piano in the carousel, and it brings you down to Old Time Lane. So this was a great opportunity to meet the candidates. I thank you very much. RWorldTalk podcast. Congratulations.